The air was crisp, filled with the anticipation of Christmas morning. Inside the Sodder home in Fayetteville, West Virginia, a warm glow emanated from the windows. 9 children slept soundly, their dreams filled with visions of sugar plums and presents. The year was 1945, and the horrors of World War II seemed a world away. George and Jennie Sodder, parents to their brood of 10, had finally drifted off to sleep. Their eldest son, Joe, was away serving his country. Little did they know this peaceful night would soon transform into their worst nightmare. A little after 1 a.m., Jennie Sodder was jarred awake by a strange sound. It was the phone ringing, but when she answered, all she heard was a strange man's voice. The voice was unfamiliar. He mumbled something she couldn't quite make out. Then silence. She dismissed it as a wrong number and tried to go back to sleep, but something wasn't right. As she lay in bed, she noticed an odd glow flickering outside the window. It seemed to be coming from the roof. She got up to investigate, noticing that the lights were on downstairs. She assumed the children had left them on. She went back to bed, but the uneasy feeling lingered. Minutes later, she awoke to the smell of smoke. The house was on fire. Panic surged through her as she realized the gravity of the situation. She screamed for George, and together they scrambled to get their children to safety. George Sodder sprang into action, racing outside to grab his ladder, which he always kept propped against the house. To his horror, it was gone. He ran back inside, his mind racing. There was no time to waste. He had to get his children out through the windows. Jennie, meanwhile, was herding the children towards safety. She managed to usher her 2 eldest daughters, Marion and Sylvia, and 2 of her sons, John and George Jr., out of the inferno. But 5 of her children were still trapped inside. Maurice 14, Martha 12, Louis 9, Jenny 8, and little Betty 5. The fire raged with terrifying speed, fueled by the dry wood of the house. The smoke was thick and suffocating. George, desperate to reach his children, tried driving his coal truck closer to the house, hoping to climb atop it and reach the upstairs windows. But the truck wouldn't start. It was as if fate itself was conspiring against him. As dawn broke over the ashes of the Sodder home, a horrifying realization set in. 5 of the Sodder children were missing. Where could they be? Had they somehow escaped the flames, or had something more sinister occurred? The fire had burned so intensely that very little of the house remained. Search parties combed through the wreckage, sifting through the debris and ashes. They expected to find the remains of the missing children, but there was nothing. No bones, no teeth, no sign of the children at all. The fire chief concluded that the blaze had been so hot that it had incinerated the missing children's bodies entirely, but the Sodders couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. The fire, while intense, had burned quickly. How could it have completely consumed 5 bodies without leaving a single trace? The lack of evidence only deepened the mystery. The Sodders were left with more questions than answers, their hearts heavy with grief and uncertainty. Section 4. Shadows of Doubt. As days turned into weeks and weeks into months, the Sodders began to suspect that the fire was no accident. Several unsettling details surrounding the fire began to nag at them. There was the strange phone call Jennie had received on the night of the fire. The caller had asked for a name that Jennie didn't recognize, and then there was laughter in the background before the call abruptly ended. Was it just a coincidence, or could it have been a warning? Then there was the matter of the missing ladder. George was adamant that he always kept the ladder securely propped against the house. Who could have taken it? And why? And what about the lights that Jennie had seen on in the house just before the fire? Had someone been inside their home, setting the stage for this tragedy? Witnesses came forward, claiming to have seen the missing children in the days following the fire. One woman swore she had served them breakfast at a roadside diner. Another claimed to have seen them in a passing car, their faces peering out from the back window. Could their children still be alive? Were they taken? The Sodders clung to these glimmers of hope, their resolve to find their children growing stronger with each passing day. Section 5. Whispers of Conspiracy. Theories and rumors swirled around Fayetteville like the smoke that had once billowed from the Sodder home. Some whispered that the children had been kidnapped, snatched away in the dead of night. Others believed that the fire was no accident, that it had been deliberately set to cover up a more sinister crime. One theory that gained traction centered around George Sodder's outspoken nature. He was an Italian immigrant, and he hadn't been shy about expressing his criticism of Benito Mussolini and the fascist regime in Italy. Could the Italian mafia, seeking revenge for his views, have been behind the fire? Another theory pointed to a possible insurance scam gone wrong. Had someone, perhaps even someone known to the family, targeted the Sodder home, hoping to cash in on the tragedy? The whispers grew louder, fueled by suspicion and speculation. Section 6. A family's unwavering hope. Despite the lack of answers, the Sodder family refused to give up hope. They poured their grief and determination into a relentless search for their children. They hired private investigators, chased down every lead, and offered a reward for information. Years turned into decades, but their hope never wavered. They erected a billboard along Route 16, the main road passing through Fayetteville. The billboard featured large photographs of their missing children, their faces frozen in time, their smiles a haunting reminder of what had been lost. Beneath the photos, a plea: "Have you seen these children?" The billboard became a local landmark, a constant reminder of the tragedy that had befallen the Sodder family. It was a symbol of their unwavering love, their refusal to let the world forget their missing children. The Sodders continued to receive tips and leads, each one offering a flicker of hope, a chance that their children might still be out there, somewhere. Section 7. The enduring mystery. The mysterious disappearance of the Sodder children remains one of America's most baffling unsolved cases. Over 70 years have passed since that fateful Christmas Eve night, and the questions surrounding their disappearance linger. What really happened to the Sodder children? Were they victims of a tragic accident, or did something more sinister occur? The passage of time has done little to diminish the mystery. If anything, it has only deepened the intrigue. The Sodder children's story has been the subject of countless books, documentaries, and podcasts, each attempting to unravel the truth behind their disappearance. Despite the lack of concrete answers, one thing is certain: the Sodder family never gave up hope. Their unwavering love for their children, their tireless search for answers, and their refusal to let their story be forgotten is a testament to the enduring power of hope, even in the face of unimaginable tragedy. What do you think happened to the Sodder children?